everything has a balance. There's a light and dark side to everything. You're going to go through difficult times, but it's going to come around and get better because you're going to figure it out. So just trust that you will figure it out and reach out and try to help yourself with some of these things like journaling and nature and classes.
Hi, Barbara. Thank you so much for your time today.
Hello, Jawaria. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the podcast with you.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Um, I have a corporate background. I did software, international technology type things, and spent 10 years at IBM. And during my 30 years related to, software and corporate, I actually lost three children. And so first a miscarriage and then a full-term stillborn, and then my two boys grew up, but then my older son, Brent, was killed in a motorcycle accident
I'm
while he
so
was out at Arizona State University on his way to becoming a pilot. So that really kind of messed everything up. And so those losses actually was a catalyst for my 30-year marriage falling apart. And then I got married a second time to a wonderful man, and he had a widowmaker heart attack on his way to work one morning. So I became a bereaved mother and a widow, sorry. And it's basically all of that loss really made me
fueled.
want to do something to give back, and I knew helping others would help me heal. So I've started two nonprofits related to resilience after loss or grief recovery.
Great. So how is grief different from complex grief, or they're both the same?
Well, no, I think it's just levels, like anything, right? There's different levels. They call it, complicated grief. And I think, and I'm not an expert so much in that, but it really is, I think when a lot of times there's trauma involved,
Yeah.
and it's maybe a really shocking, complicated grief. And I probably had complicated grief. I mean, my marriage fell apart after
Yeah.
my older son died, and then I had issues with some stuff with financial and body stuff, and it just seems like a lot of stuff piling up
Yeah.
sometimes. Old grief, I'm sorry, new grief brings up old grief, is one thing. And it's hard to put layers or levels or
Mhm.
grades on grief
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so unique.
Unless you're
It's
seeing one to one and
Well,
yeah.
even that, I mean, even different people that have the same type of loss, like other people that have lost children or other people that have lost spouses, it's
Right.
not the same. Your relationship is not the same, right?
Yeah.
Every relationship is unique, and you really can't judge what anybody else is going through because it's their unique relationship and their particular situation. It's different, and people process grief differently. So there's no set standards for these things, right? You really have to let people process in their own time and in their own way.
So this happened at work today that one of my colleagues, she has recently lost a mother, and she was triggered by a statement by a
uh,
patient's relative that um, she's not going to be around for too long. So she broke down in tears, ran to the, you know, um, bathroom, and then we sat in the conference room, and she was still in tears and crying, and she said she missed her mom. And
mm,
I also lost my mom. I lost my mom last year,
I'm sorry.
and I haven't had that kind of reaction. I have cried, but I haven't had that kind of reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I started feeling a little guilty.
Well, had it been longer for her
Um,
also?
no, hers is recent. Her mom
Yeah.
passed away after mine.
I mean,
And
that's part of it, right?
yeah,
Everybody, it takes a while to get over it, and that length of time is different for everyone. But
right.
also, people are different in how they handle their emotions, again, what their relationship was. But
Mhm.
I believe you have to make a choice to heal, and not everyone does that. Not
Yeah,
everyone makes the choice that they know they need to work at it, right?
interesting.
And and that they want to get better and they want to work at it. And some people just find themselves stuck in it, or especially if they don't reach out and do anything. I did lots of things. to help my grief. I was very active at it. I cried a lot, but
Yeah.
got a therapist. I did a lot of walking in nature. I did, would reach out to family and friends that were supportive and that would listen, that wouldn't run, because a lot of people run when they talk about grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things like journaling. I was very surprised. My remaining son bought me a leather bound refillable journal. Now I had never kept a diary, but because he gave it to me, I started to use it. I was amazed at how cathartic it was to just write your feelings down, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nobody ever has to see it. In my
Mm-hmm.
case, I think after 8 journals, I ended up going to writing classes, and I wrote a book. I wrote a memoir called A Butterfly's Journey. So,
Oh, okay.
but that was very cathartic, but I didn't know that before I started doing it. And I
Yeah.
had never really been into spirituality. And I had some theater friends that were, and we got talking about those things. And I went to a medium, that helped. Even things like, and some people find, their religion's very helpful, or, but it's just keeping an open mind. One of my friends was a shaman and an energy healer. So I had never done anything like that. And,
Mm-hmm.
I was working for IBM, right? In a high pressure job. We didn't talk about things like that, right? We were always under deadlines and quotas and all that. And I was so burned out in the job I was in. I actually told my boss, look, the worst thing that could happen to me I've lost my son. You don't have any power over me anymore, and I need to get in a different job here in IBM. And luckily I did. And the next one was much more compassionate. But in any case, I tried energy healing. I didn't even know what it was. And I was amazed at how much it helped. But people don't keep an open mind about those things. And I think you should just keep trying things until you find things that work, and there's no magic bullet. You just have to
You-
keep trying things and keep doing the 2 or 3 things that feel the best.
And then you are grief recovery method specialist. That's what you are, right?
Yeah, I've got an advanced certification in grief recovery method, which is the only methodology that's evidence-based for grief
Okay,
in the world.
great.
It's been used 40 years on 6 continents. It was written by a bereaved dad, and it's been very proven. It was, like I said, it was taken to be evidence-based through Kent State University a couple of years ago. But the thing I like about it is it's action-based. It's got a book and homework. It's not endless. It's very
Mhm.
complementary to therapy or support groups,
Mhm.
because it helps you kind of nail down and understand what all the undelivered communications are, which helps you let go of a lot of the things that makes grief hang on. And so I prefer to do it. I do it one-on-one with Zoom with anybody anywhere that can speak
Okay.
English.
Mhm.
But I also, if people are close to me, then we'll do it in person as well. But it's like 7 weeks one-on-one, 8 weeks, I think, in a group. Um, so
What is it like to work with clients who are grieving?
well, it's interesting because I have a lot of people ask it, doesn't that make you sad? It really doesn't, because I really feel I want to serve people, but I really feel like I can help them because I've had so many different kinds of loss, significant loss, that I've learned about it, as well as my training, with grief recovery method. So I really feel like I can make a difference with them, and so it doesn't make me sad. I can listen, I can understand, and I've become a really good listener. And I don't run, and I'll ask them questions that kind of make them think about their situation or what they might be able to do about it or how it might be able to help. And then we also use the tools of the methodology. So between all of that, um, that in my experience, it really always helps them. At least that's what I hear back from them.
Yeah. Do you have any specific tools that are your favorite in this
Well, again,
methodology?
like we said, the one big tool is the grief recovery method.
Good.
And my site is abutterfliesjourney.org, which is plural. I'm sorry, possessive, not plural. So it's FLYS. But the
Mhm.
point is a free resource center there
Okay.
with lots of other, because I connect into and have made friends in the National Grief Organization,
Yeah.
national and global grief. So things like Compassionate Friends, which is for anybody who's lost a child, grandchild, or sibling, or Open to Hope. It's probably the largest, all different kinds of resources, probably the largest resource center for grief in the world. And it's started by two amazing mother-daughter therapists, psychotherapists. But also, like I said, some of the things that helped me, not only things like the energy healing and the journaling and writing letters to your loved one and just, kind of getting it out, right? But talking to people, walking in nature, go take a walk on the beach or in the forest, or, just things like that. Helping others, probably one of the big ones. It's funny, at the end of my book, the last chapter is talking about, is 10 years after I lost my son. And I kind of listed the three most important things that I thought at the time. And one was about trust your gut. So don't worry so much about all the advice that you may get, but trust your gut about what helps you, but keep an open mind and keep trying things.
Yeah.
And then the second was about helping others helps you heal, because there's something about the gratitude and love that you get, even if it's not related to how your loved one died, that just makes you feel so much better, right? That helping others is just an amazing healer. And then the third thing was, it's all about the love. And that is really about, try to focus on the positive memories rather than the pain. So I think for me, it took me about 3 years to really let this sink in, to recognize it. But when I started to realize that my son's life was a gift to me, not just a loss, and if I had to do it over again, would I choose to go through all that pain again, or would I choose to never have known him? I'd go through it again in a heartbeat. And when I started thinking about his life like that as a gift, I no longer think about the pain when I think of him. I think about the mother-son trips and we were roller coaster freaks, riding all day on the front seats of roller coasters. He even got me on a bungee jump once. So that's the kind of stuff I think about when I think about my son now. He was very charismatic and a strong personality, and I smile when I think of him. I'm not in pain when I think of him. So that, I think, helps a lot.
Now, I work with a lot of physicians who are going through life transitions, for example, career transition, quitting, what they've been doing their whole life, finding a different alternative path. Some of them can have job loss, separate job loss. And as physicians, our identity is tied to patient care so much, right? We grow up and go through the whole process of medical school and training with everybody that we know expecting us to treat patients. Now, when somebody decides to do something other than treating patients, for example, working for the insurance company or working for pharmaceutical companies, that process, I think, involves grieving as well.
Yes, it is. There are, this methodology I talked about says there are 43 kinds of loss, right? So a lot of them are related to death and illness and financial, but it's really all about change. It's all about change and transition. When you're moving into something, you have to grieve what you lost. I remember my son's a chef. He Johnson and Wales chef, and he now owns his own restaurant. But I remember the first restaurant he owned that I used to help him with. When he sold it, I felt the loss of that. And then, of course, I got laid off from a software company after 10 years that I was a startup. So it was and then again, at IBM at the end of the dot-com crash. And again, I thought you think of yourselves as an IBMer. So similar to you saying treating patients, it's a certain way that you feel about and think about yourself, and that changes, and it's tough. And especially when people look at you and say, what, why? Especially when you made the choice, right? Because maybe it was better in the insurance industry or paid better or something. And people say, well, why did you do that?
You sold your soul.
Yeah, right. Yes, right. Yeah. But
you joined the dark side.
Yeah, you have to do what you've got to do. And absolutely, you need to grieve that stuff. And again, some of the same things work. Things like journaling about that would be helpful. Therapy, going walks in nature, and just doing something maybe to get comfortable with it, or to really understand Why are you doing it? And is it
I,
beneficial, to you or maybe your family because you're doing it? You know what I mean?
I really like the slide that you sent me. It was
Okay.
really good.
Thank you. So I do a resilience workshop a lot of times at the grief events where I also do these faces of resilience photo shoots. And
Oh,
those are about open expression of grief, loss, and love. So
yeah.
we get a whole photo booth set up and we ask people to express themselves about their grief, which they don't get to do much. And then I write it on their skin, whatever they want to say with a washable marker. And then we edit the photos and send it professionally edited photos to them. And it's cathartic for them and it's a catalyst for them to talk about their grief with others. But during those events, I typically do these resilience workshops, and I made an acronym out of resilience
Mm-hmm.
to basically go through 10 tips about the kinds of things that you can use to help.
Yeah, can you share them?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Let me look. Um, well, one of them, and I'll just read these real quick. I won't go into depth because
Yeah,
I probably don't have time. But one
yeah.
of them with resilience, if you think of that as an acronym, the first R is recognizing the significance of your loss and evaluating the impact. Because
Mhm.
very often there's a lot of ripple effects, right, from your grief.
Right.
Second is an E, to educate yourself on what's available in terms of resources. It might be support, it might be energy healing, it might be therapy, it might be, but think about it. And then the self-care, that's really a foundation. So you really got to think about taking care of yourself, because if you isolate, or if your nutrition is bad, or you get really tired, not only can you help anybody around you if your family is also impacted, but it's also tough on you. And then identifying support options that fit your style is the I, because yeah, it's same things don't work for everybody. Like
Mhm.
religion's great for some and not for others. For
Yeah.
instance, therapy, right, or whatever. Um, lean into the to the loss, acknowledge it's your lifelong partner, like your friend the nurse you were talking about, but it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be awful lifelong. But the person, if it's about a loss, it may not change or it may not go away, but again, you can kind of change your feeling about it. Your instincts, rely on your instincts, not the opinions and expectations of others, because people have a lot of advice and they may or may not have been through it. And even if they have, that their particular situation is not exactly the same as yours.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
E for effort is processing grief is not easy. It takes time and effort. Yeah, no kidding. It's not fast and it's not easy. You have to make a choice to heal, and you have to do some things to make it, to change it, to lighten it. Um, and then N for normal and resilience. So understand that your grief is quite normal. You're not crazy, right? You're
Yeah.
not, it's very normal. Everybody, we go through so many transitions every day, every month, every week, every month, every year. And some of them are really much more dramatic than others, but it's normal. And you're feeling lousy about it is normal as well. But again, it's kind of working on it to see if you can find things to lighten it, and then it will get better. And then C is to celebrate the lives and memories of your loved ones, and try to really keep in the positive memories and the things that you're grateful for. Gratitude is a big help, I believe, and focusing on not the loss, but focusing on the time you had with them and the gift that they were to you. And then E, the last letter, is embrace the change and the new resilient you. And really, pat yourself on the back and congratulate yourself for having made progress with this stuff, because it's not easy, you know.
In the end, is there something that I forgot to ask that you would like to mention?
Oh my God.
I
That's
think we can go on and on this
yes, you're
topic
right. Yeah, we can.
because I have this email from one of my clients. I can, go and ask questions from that and stuff. Maybe we should plan another session just on career transitions or life
Yeah,
transitions.
sure. No, we can do that because I've done several of those as well, or I've been through several of those as well, some that went better than others.
How do people find you?
Um, the uh,
Your
the
website?
website is abutterfliesjourney.org, and that's FLYS, possessive, not
Mhm.
plural.
Mhm.
Um, and it would be info@abutterfliesjourney.org,
Okay.
or the phone number is 617-410-6309. And it's on Facebook, and I'm not as active on Instagram. I do more with that, but Facebook and on the website and that kind of thing is how they'd find me. And like I said, I've got 8 other books that are like co-author of, but the first two that is my memoir is called A Butterfly's Journey, Healing Grief After the Loss of a Child. And then the second one is Faces of Resilience, which is about the photo book. So all those things kind of relate to how to find me and about me. And I was trying to answer something that you asked just a minute ago, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but
Is there something that I forgot to ask that you
oh
would like?
yes, thank you. I'm trying to think what's the best. I don't know, I guess, oh, I don't know, in my experience, just understanding really that love never dies, no matter what or who you've lost. And in terms of transitions, that things, everything is cyclical, everything comes around. So when you go through, think of yin and yang. I have a yin and yang tattoo and a butterfly tattoo, by the way. And the reason the yin and yang, which I got when I was on my 70th birthday, was because everything has a balance, right? There's a light and dark side to everything. And there's
Right.
transitions you're gonna go through difficult times, but it's gonna come around and get better because you're gonna figure it out. So just trust that you will figure it out and reach out and try to help yourself with some of these things like journaling and nature and classes,
Therapy. And
whatever. Yeah.
all right, it was so nice talking to you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Barbara. And hopefully we'll talk some other time again.
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. But thank you very much,
Thank
Jawaria.
you.
It's been very nice. Thank you. Good night.